You know how many times I hear people tell me that they still, after 2 years of walking their dog, they still use the technique of stopping and doing 180s whenever their dog sees another dog. Are you for real? How do you get anywhere? How do you get anywhere? Yes, today on the podcast, we are talking about all those quick fixes, the tools, the treats, the techniques to help you stop a dog's bad behavior, but also why quick fixes don't stick. Let's get into it. Ready to have a calm and peaceful life with your dog without the stress of those fear-based behaviors? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I've been there, overwhelmed by all the conflicting dog training advice and unsure of what to do next. But now I help dog lovers like you simplify your life with your dog by building confidence naturally, fostering trust, and addressing those fear-based challenges. So, if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners and let's get to it. Hey there, friend. If you're here, I'm guessing you've already done like all the things, right? You've taken the classes, you've read the books, you've scrolled the posts, you joined the Facebook groups, you've asked the questions, you've listened to the podcast. Wait, what? And yet, still, things feel hard. Well, what if I told you the answer isn't in more obedience or training, but rather in the moments between training? How you show up day to day. That's where real trust and relationship is built. And the good news, it's not about doing more, my friend. It's just about tweaking the things you're already doing. And that's exactly what we walk through inside the Fearless Framework. Let's build confidence together from the inside out. I'll see you there. Well, hello, my dog-loving friend. It is Tracy. Welcome to Beyond Obedience, the podcast. Super duper welcome. If you are brand new, welcome. I'm so glad that you are here. This is an incredible community of people that come and listen to Beyond Obedience. If you're not already, you should be inside our free Facebook group, Living Beyond Obedience. You can introduce yourself there, share pictures of your dog. Please, come on. It's the least you can do. When you come over, don't forget to share pictures of your dog. I mean, and I ask for them weekly. That's how much I love them. I'm like, where's them pictures at? You know? I love pictures of dogs. All right, today, my friends, we are talking about, I think, something that's probably going to hit home for many of us. And it's the idea of the quick fix and why quick fixes don't stick. You know, why a quick fix isn't really what we're looking for. And I know, trust me when I say, I know how important it is, especially if you've been struggling for a while with your dog's behavior, whether or not it's reactivity, pulling on the leash, lunging at other dogs, being scared of other dogs, all of that good stuff. No matter what it is, I know that if you've been struggling for a while, you badly need a break. So quick fixes do seem alluring, you know, like you kind of get drawn in by all the things. And I know I've seen it, you know, because I'm in the dog world. So my algorithm is dogs, just dogs, a shocker, right? It's just dog stuff, dogs and Taylor Swift. That's all that's on my algorithm. But so I get to see all the ads and the videos and you know, for the equipment and the stuff, and this helps prevent pulling. And what's that ridiculous thing that it's like the flexi leash, but it has two, so you can walk two dogs and the thing rotates so that it doesn't tangle. Listen, friend, I'm not a person that's like 100% against flexi leashes, and many trainers are. Many trainers are like, flexi leashes are the devil. However, I'm not opposed to them. I think they have their place for sure. My favorite place to use flexi leashes is on my follow the dog adventures. Like when I'm letting my dog do dog stuff and I'm following them, I like a good flexi, mostly because I used to do it with drag lines. Now I get caught up in drag lines. Drag lines get dirty, you know, so the flexis have their place. But I will say this, you should never, ever have two flexis or two dogs on a flexi. Like, even if it doesn't tangle, that's not, you, You don't have very much influence over your dog's behavior if you are 25 feet behind them. That's all I'm saying. Right? You don't have it. That's why I like it for follow the dog. I love it for that exercise, because the whole point of that is that I'm not trying to influence the dog's behavior. I'm trying to let them, lead the way, show me adventure, show me the world through their eyes, just really get into it. So that's why I like it for that. But, if we're talking about relationship and having any sort of influence on your dog, I never understand the flexies, the people that are just like, you go over there and I'll be over here, and you'll never remember who I am. that's what happens. The further away you get from the dog, not only the less influence, but they'll forget about you in the environment. Especially if you've got those fearless explorers, the fearless explorers, that doganality type fearless explorers. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you're new here, you got to go take the quiz. Okay. Quick, like shameless plug. Go take the quiz, beyondobedience.ca/quiz. Take the quiz, figure out what your dog's doganality is, and then come over to the Facebook group and tell me what you got, because that's fun. All right. So let's get back to it. So quick fixes are alluring because a lot of us want like relief right away. And doesn't it sound nice? It's kind of like the diet culture. Like when you see a thing that I was just telling Mark, I'm like, apparently, Mark, I've been doing everything in my life wrong. If I want to lose menopausal belly fat, I just have to do 9 minutes of Asian Pilates. Like, why didn't I know this information before? Like, we all want quick and easy. We're prone to it. We're genetically, we're humans. We want the quick and easy answer. But when we're talking about relationships, and in particular, if we're talking about fearful dogs, which is kind of my jam, you know how much I love the fearful or unconfident dog. Quick's never the answer, right? It's never going to be the answer. That takes time. And that's why we love that saying from Pat Pirelli, that take the time it takes, so eventually it takes less time. But you got to put in the time, you got to put in the reps, you got to do the work, right? And we know that. And in our heads, we know that. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about why quick fixes actually aren't the enemy. So I'm not saying no quick fixes, but what I am saying is that they're not the full answer. Okay. So for you, really, like for the person out there that is really, really struggling, that's like, I'm at my wit's end and I need something to help me right now because I don't know what else to do. And that could be for numerous reasons. Like I've heard people say, classic one for barking. If I don't get my dog to stop barking, I'm going to get kicked out of this apartment. Then we're both going to be homeless. Like that's a big deal, right? People with injuries, like I can't have my dog pull me. If he pulls me like off my feet, like it's going to re-injure my shoulder. Like I get it. And so this is why, I'm going to tell you, I'm not saying you can't use quick fixes. In fact, tools and techniques are there to help you, to help the human with their leverage. There's so many differences between dogs and humans. Okay. And we're not going to get into all of them, but the most obvious is, for a dog, because they're quadrupeds, they're standing on 4 legs, their center of balance is different from us. When we stand upright, we can easily be pulled off balance just by how we move and how we walk, right? The center of gravity for a dog is, generally speaking, right where we put harnesses, right? We attach a harness to a dog and they clip, around the body. That's like their strongest part. It allows them to pull. And then we tell a human, an upright bipedal human, to be like, hold on tight because we've just strapped some equipment to this beast. And now you are going to be extremely off balance. That's what happens, especially when they get out in front of us. We're better moving side to side, right? We can balance ourselves quickly by putting our legs out to the side to rebalance, or sticking our arms out to balance ourselves. But front to back, we're easily pushed off balance. So you can already see that there's like a disadvantage to just because of the way that we're built and the way that dogs are built. So tools aren't the enemy here. They're made to help leverage our what's the word I'm looking for? Like our downsides, like our Oh, Tracy, brain, menopause. Should have done those Asian Pilates. No, if I'd done those Asian Pilates, I'd have rock hard abs right now, but I still wouldn't remember why I'm in this room. You know, you have that where you're just walking around like, why am I in here? I come into this podcast room, I'm like, there's a microphone here. Why am I here? Anyway, you get my point. You get my drift, right? Just follow along. Please just nod along if you understand what I'm saying. The point is, we are structurally different. So the equipment that we use, the equipment that we choose, is to help us, the humans, for a little bit of leverage. But we also want to create and have equipment that helps us communicate, right? Quite often when I'm talking about harnesses and stuff, especially like stuff like no pull harnesses, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. I'm just going to say that. Lots of times I'm like, some people can use it. I don't like no pull harnesses. First of all, I think it's ridiculous because we put, we the whole idea is so contradictive, right? Like we put harnesses are for pulling. Let's remember that we made harnesses for pulling. That's what they're for. So to say no pull harness, that's dumb. Why would you create why would you do that? A harness is for pulling. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of no pull harnesses. But the other reason why I don't like it is because you put the harness in the center of the dog's chest, and then we pulled, like, the whole point of that is to pull them off balance. So rather than them being to pull us off balance, we're pulling them off balance by having a clip in the front and pulling them in that direction. That's how those work. And I'm like, I don't want the dog to pull me off balance, but I also don't want to pull my dog off balance. Like, we want to be together. This is supposed to be a partnership, not a battle of who can pull it's not tug of war, not a battle of who can pull each other over. Anyway, I get really animated about equipment, but anyway, I digress. The point is, certain tools are to help, increase your leverage. Also, they can be used to help interrupt panic. They can buy you a moment of clarity. They can help settle a dog enough to learn, right? So sometimes we just need a little leverage so that we can reach the dog inside the behavior. That, to me, that's not cheating. That's just allowing us to get there. And there are just some dogs that, when we take them out in the environment on a flat collar, they get so right brained, they're all in their head, and they can't hear you. I've mentioned this before. It's not like your dog is being a jerk. They just can't hear you. They're in the environment. They've switched over to right brain and they can't hear you. And you're using equipment that doesn't communicate a darn thing to them. It really doesn't. So equipment can be used for many different reasons, which is why if you're struggling, I highly recommend that you find a trainer that is well versed in many different types of equipment. Let me say that again. You find a trainer that is well versed in many different types of equipment. And the reason why I say that is because depending on you and your dog will depend on what type of equipment you need. And let's not forget about you, my friend. You may require a certain type of equipment based on your physical abilities. I can tell you there have been so many times. Let me tell you about the time I went to Mexico. Where's she going with this? Hang on. I went to Mexico for the very first time for a wedding for my friend Emma. Shout out, Emma. And I never been to Mexico. Went in Rome. There was tequila. The whole point is that there might have been a little bit too much consumption of the tequila, and I happened to have, stumbled off a path. I thought that the statues that they had all over this resort was a person that was gonna catch me. And he didn't. Rude. Anyway, long story short, really badly hurt my shoulder. Really badly hurt my shoulder. And I mean badly. I even tried getting a massage while I was in Mexico. It didn't help. I couldn't sleep in the bed anymore. I had to sleep on the sofa, sitting up. Like, it was bad. Like tequila. Anyway, I eventually came home and went to a chiropractor, and I said, well, here's the thing. I was in Mexico, and he was like, if I had a dime for every time someone said that story. Took a lot of physio and whatnot, but eventually I was better. My whole point is, during that time while I was injured, all of my dogs, every single one of them, had to go back on their training equipment. Not because of them, but because of me. Right? I was so sore that I was like, if the slightest pull, slightest pull is going to yank my arm back out. Like I needed the equipment. So when you've got people out there screaming on the rooftops about certain types of equipment and all that stuff, they're not considering all the things. So if you are someone who's struggling with your dog walking on leash, I highly recommend that you find a trainer that knows about different types of collars, different types of training equipment, can use different types of training equipment, and find the right thing that works for both you and your dog, because it's supposed to bridge the gap between the two of you. Now, so I'm about quick fixes. And let me tell you, some of those collars, when trained properly, some of those equipments like the head halties and all that stuff, when trained properly, when done effectively, can seem like magic. They can seem like quick fixes. You can have a dog that was pulling that is no longer pulling, and you're like, hallelujah. Like you are just, everything is all right. Like you're so excited because everything is now working for you. But this is where I want to stop you and say, they are not the full answer. Okay? So I want you to do what you need to do. And let me just say this as well. I am going to say this because people seem to get the idea that I don't like treats or I don't use treats. Nope, that's not what I'm saying. But for me, treats are a tool as well. And they are quite often a crutch to our relationship. So your quick fix might be food. It might be like, if I just hold food, this dog just walks right beside me. My dog's so food motivated, he just walks right beside me. It might be food. Food could be the tool that you need to like get your dog to completely focus on. It might be a tennis ball, like that gets the dog to focus in on you. All of those things are tools, but they aren't the final answer. Food is not the final answer, because there is going to come a time when you don't have food. And if you're relying on food to get your dog's attention all the time, you're going to come across a situation where you don't have food and you're going to be nothing to the dog. Same with your tennis ball. If you've got like a tennis ball obsessed, I'm going to say border collie because they're all obsessed. But if you've got a tennis ball, obsessed border collie, and you forget the ball, or heaven forbid you lose the ball, they are, you need to know that this quick fix is temporary and the full answer has to be achieved. So while you can use this quick fix for the time being to give you that peace of mind, to give you that moment where you can start to connect, then we still want to keep on moving forward to building up our communication, working on our leash handling skills outside of the problem area. So we're talking about walking right now, but like if we're talking about walking, outside of walking, you should be in your house working on asking the dog with your body language, your energy, and your hand gestures and whatnot, and then having the leash be a secondary guide. You keep on working on it. You can work on training. You can work on, training with cues and all that stuff as well. Do all of that stuff, but you want to keep doing the work, because if you're using a training tool, whatever that happens to be, whether or not it's food, it's a toy, whether or not it's a piece of equipment, that's the equivalent of you yelling, right? I've used this analogy before, but it's like, because we are talking about language and communication here, right? not language, we're talking about communication here. But if you consider what it's like when you are trying to learn another language, or you're in an area where you don't speak the same language and people try to accommodate you by speaking slower, louder, and really like giving you lots of hand gestures and trying to get you to figure it out. That's what the training tool does for us. It's like a loud way to like get through the noise so that we're doing everything bigger and all that stuff. But you want to work towards getting that communication so crystal clear and so light and so delicate that you don't really need it. And the way that training works in all cases is that you want to fade out the tool that you're using. This goes for food too. Anybody that trains with food will tell you that you don't want to keep food around all the time. You want to fade it out. You want to have it intermittently, giving the reward. Same with the ball, same with the toy, same with the tug, all of that stuff. And it's the same thing with our training equipment. You want to get to a point where you're not hardly ever using the training equipment. The dog starts walking, but you're never engaging the training equipment. You never have to utilize it. That's what you're working for. Unfortunately, many people just think the training tool is the final answer, but it really isn't. So here's where we're at. Louder isn't any clearer, and I need to urge you to keep going after the quick fix. This is the take-home message. Please keep going. You and your dog will benefit so much more if you use the quick fix, you use the tool, you use the technique, you use all that stuff, but you don't keep doing it. You know how many times I hear people tell me that they still, after 2 years of walking their dog, they still use the technique of stopping and doing 180s whenever their dog sees another dog. Are you for real? How do you get anywhere? How do you get anywhere? Right? I'm still doing 180s. I'm still getting the dog to like turn its back to things, and I'm feeding it treats. That's not what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to still get to a point. Like, what do you imagine your walk with your dog to be? It's just you walking the dog. It sees another dog. You're able to say, no, don't go over to that dog, right? Don't do that. Don't do that. I'll give you another example, because we were actually just talking about this inside the Fearless Framework. One of the students there has a dog that, sees other dogs and is lunging and whatnot and freaking out, not because he's scared, not because he's aggressive, but because he actually wants to go see that other dog. He wants to go play with that other dog. And this is very, very common, especially in today's day and age where we've all been taught to socialize our dogs incorrectly. And by that, I mean, we've been told that we have to let our dogs meet and play with other dogs and all of that sort of stuff. And what we've done is we've created the little dogs that believe that every single dog they see is their playmate and therefore should play with them. So, and we all grew up in that era, unfortunately. And that's where we're at right now. But we were talking about this because, basically the student inside this program was asking, what do I do? And I'm like, here is the short answer. The short answer is you have to tell them no. That's the short answer. You have to tell them no. And the quick fix to that is no is going to be probably a little loud in order to break through the noise of the excitement of the other dog. It's going to sound loud. It may mean a leash correction. It may mean you have to kind of raise your voice to get their attention, to bring them over, and all of that stuff. That's the quick, immediate fix for that. The slower, more sustainable answer is that we need to be practicing no outside of the event. And trust me when I say you have so many opportunities in the day to say no to your dog. You have so many opportunities in the day to say no to your dog in a way that is very soft and quiet. It's as simple as, don't do that. And the way that we counterbalance that is there's also many opportunities in the day, more than you are giving. And I already know that, more than you are giving, to say yes to your dog. So this idea of being a lot more hyper vigilant and aware of moments when we can say yes to the dog, and moments when we have to say no. So that no is just, nah, we're not doing that. And the reason why I say that is because no can be that simple and that soft, but you have to practice the art of saying no throughout the day, outside of the event, right? What many people do is they don't work on that. They don't work on no. We've been told not to tell the dogs no. Just don't tell them no. Just redirect them and wait for them to do something good and then say good boy to that, which to me is ridiculous. There are many, many opportunities for you to say no to a dog. And it doesn't have to be a big deal. It literally can be as simple as, no. So when we practice that throughout the day, no means something. And our dog understands it. So when we keep on doing that, our no in the areas where there's excitement can be more influential. They can be heard easier because you've been practicing it. So it doesn't have to be a hey, no, with you pulling and heaving on a leash. It can literally just be maybe a little bit of leash pressure to get their attention. When they make eye contact, you look at them and go, nuh-uh, no, come on this way. And they go, oh, okay, I know what no means. No means I have to stop what I'm doing and follow my human. That's all that means. Now, the second part of that, to learn how to get a dog to stop being everybody's my friend dog, is that we immediately stop meeting dogs on leash. Forever and always. From here on in, don't ever meet a dog on leash. I should probably do this as its own separate podcast, and I will someday, because many people have tuned out by now because Tracy talks way too long. But the point is this. You actually have to start creating this idea that when my leash is on, I am working. My job while my leash is on is that I'm connected to this human, which is awesome. My human is awesome. My human does awesome dog-like things with me all the time. So I love hanging out with my human. There's lots of components to this. But when I'm on my leash, that means I'm connected to my human. That means if my human has to get my attention and says no, I just go, oh, okay, no. I never meet other dogs on leash, ever. And if I do, we're just going for a walk. And I learn to work with other dogs. So the dog learns that when my leash is on, I'm working. And if another dog is around, they too are working. We're going on a ritual migration together. These can be walk dates that you have with your friends. We go on a ritual migration together and we work together. We walk together. That's what we do. We never play around or muddle around when we're wearing our equipment because that's never allowed. And when the walk is done and we're back at somebody's house and we're in the backyard and we're allowed to play, the equipment comes off and we're told to go play and we go play. And it becomes very, very crystal clear to the dog what the expectations are when on leash. So I have dogs, when I'm walking my dogs notice other dogs. And sometimes depending on how the other dogs are reacting, Nigel will sometimes whine at other dogs just because they're acting out of control. And Nigel knows that you're not supposed to do that. He's done so many pack walks with other dogs that when he sees other dogs acting all crazy on leash, he's like, you're not supposed to do that. Let me come over there and help you with that. Like, you have to walk. When we're walking, then we just walk. So he sometimes whines, and I'll have to sort of get his attention and be like, it's not our business. Mind our business. That's not our business. That dog's a ding-dong, but that's not our business. You don't have to fix that, right? So... but my dogs know that when we're on leash, you're not going to go get to play with that dog. That's never happened. It's never been a thing I've allowed them to do. It's not going to happen. So because it's never happened, they don't ask for it. Right? That's as simple as it is. So getting back to my point is the quick answer to how do I get my dog to stop reacting like that is you're going to have to tell them no. And whatever equipment you need to have your dog on at that time to be able to tell them no is the equipment that you have, whether or not it's a head halter or whatnot. But whatever you need to get that quick fix to be able to say no, you use that equipment. And then outside of the event, you work on no. Work on how do we say no throughout the day? How do we take moments throughout our day to be able to say no and yes? That's very important. Get this communication and this understanding of like, this is agreeable behavior and this is not agreeable behavior. Dogs really quickly understand yes, no. They really do understand it. It's very, very simple. We've done our dogs a very big disservice by this whole ideology of we don't ever tell the dogs no. Tell your dog no. How else can they get through the world? Tell your dog no. I'm really standing on a soapbox today. What is wrong with me? Anyway, I'm up here now and the air is clear. So, my point is that you work on that no outside of the event. You get that crystal clear. You start to work on that in all aspects of it. And you will find that your no in the events where your dog is excited because of the presence of other dogs gets easier and easier and easier. And you'll use less and less equipment. And you can change back to whatever equipment you had before. And your no is still effective. And then you make time in the day to go for walks with your dog, with other dogs, where it's a structured walk, we're working together, make it a fun thing that the dogs can do, but that's not about playing. And your dog starts to understand, when I'm with my human is awesome. We go out, we do dog-like things. When I'm with my human and another dog, we're working. We also do fun things, and I never ever meet that crazy rogue dog that is pulling their owner down the street going, can our dogs meet? And we go, heck no. That's how it, so there's the quick answer, and then there's the sustainable answer. And once you start to, I'm telling you, once you start to get this, everything in your life gets easier. Everything in your life gets easier. So there you go, my friend. I hope that helps. I know I got on a soapbox there. It's hard to get me down off of it when I get on it, but I got a soapbox there. But if you are someone who wants help with that sort of thing, this understanding of how we can create and build communication outside of training events, outside of triggers and all of that stuff, so that we're influential when we need to be. Our mere presence is able to influence our dogs. That is a thing that can happen, believe it or not. I know some of you are like, no, there's no way. There is a way. There is a way. All right. If that's you and you want more help with that, I am going to urge you to come to the Fearless Framework. I'm telling you, it's the best group of people you're ever going to meet. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of great talks over there. We're doing Zoom calls. We're doing video analysis. It's where your dog wants to be. That used to be my old slogan when I ran a kennel. Beyond obedience, it's where your dog wants to be. That's where you want to be. So come on over. You're going to go to beyondobedience.ca/fearless if you want to join that incredible program for the incredible price that it is currently at. And as always, my friend, get out there today and be the person that your dog thinks you are, because your dog thinks that you're amazing. And so do I. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Oh, and one more thing. This podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only, and is not meant to replace hands-on professional training. If you are really struggling with dangerous behavior with your dog, please reach out to a professional in your area. All right, I think that's it. Bye for now.